I'll fix it.
All right, we good?
We're going.
Episode 10. We have two of our buddies in the garage tonight and introduce themselves. We got Morgan. Morgan actually, he's been around a long time. He videotaped when I shot Newt.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool. Got to watch that go down, and
that's kind of what started everything.
It seems like that is the case. Then we got Brandon Dahms, another good friend who's he used to hunt around here quite a bit, and I think he lost a few farms, and we haven't hung out near as much as we used to.
No, I think the only time I come to the area is when I'm in this garage, it seems like.
Nice. Well,
maybe now with Morgan.
Yep. Morgan's closing on a piece tomorrow, so that's going to be exciting.
Yep, so I'll be closer, even
Nice.
Closer than before.
And Jesse's closing on a piece here in a couple months.
Month or so, hopefully.
Over here?
No, down south.
Oh.
My buddy owns 40, like not far away from my uncle's piece down by Grand River. And it's almost 3 hours for him from Cedar Rapids. And it was an investment, and it just happened to kind of work out. And he's closing on a farm, adding to his farm down by, South Iowa City. I forget what river. Is it River? What town's right?
Riverside?
Riverside. Yeah. Kind of over
They're
in
not
that.
making any less of it. So
Kind of over by there. So he's
Yeah.
I think there's like 30 or 40 acres, some tillable, some timber, and then there's a sectioned off piece for a house too. So it's going to be his forever farm, and he's just kind of buying chunks as they open up. So
it's amazing on how fast it changes when you buy. The goal is always to own land.
Yep.
Now I'm a landowner as well. And now it's how do I own the second piece of land?
Yeah.
Like it immediately, and now all four of us will be in that boat here
Yeah,
pretty soon.
it's
but
fun.
It's addicting.
well, everybody says the first one's the hardest to buy, and then after you buy the first one, then you know what you're doing, and you just if you're not upgrading, if you upgrade, it's not so bad.
Yeah, and I agree with Brandon on that, because ever since now that we closed on our 13, it's like, how can I get the stuff across the road? Or, if it goes into a 10, can I afford it? Yep. And how can we make that work? So.
Oh, yeah, it absolutely changes the game to a good extent. I mean, it's just now time. How much time can you afford to be there?
Right. And this is your third year owning the farm? Or
this will be the start of the third year.
Third start,
Yeah,
okay.
And it's dramatically different than the day we stepped foot on it. But
Yep. Seen you've done a lot of work, but like as far as hunting it goes, it's kind of got a different feel to it when you're out there on your own property.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I even said when I was going to buy this, my main farms that I hunt is still in different counties in southern Iowa, and I thought I'd still split the time 50-50, and every ounce of thought that goes into what I'm going to do is on my farm, and how can I improve the farm, and what equity can I put into the farm.
Yep.
So now anything I do on the other farms is I'm taking a kid hunting Sunday, and it's how do I make it so it's a really good hunt for the youth hunter. But once October gets here, then I'll
Yeah.
See what shows up and what you want to hunt.
Yep.
Hopefully there's stuff left to hunt.
Yeah, you guys had a bad case. Well, we're seeing it now of EHD, kind of an outbreak. Southern Iowa.
Yeah, it's spread. I mean, I kind of get live reports on Snapchat from lots of people, it seems like, and I would say I'm not even to the point of the bell of it coming back down. It's every day I'm getting more and more pictures of dead deer, and it's not just one or two that could have been hit by a car. I mean, I just said there's an 80 that 14 was found on.
And they're all in creeks and bodies of water.
All in creeks, pond. The pond's just absolutely disgusting with deer floating in it.
Yeah.
Really good 4-year-olds they passed the year before, all of them dead.
It seems like that's always the case. Like the older, mature deer, you never see a bunch of spikes dead in the creek. It's always the big deer, at least.
You don't hear about those either.
Right. I mean, we had it bad on our farm in 2012 and 2013, and it was just I found 3 on my farm, and it was the biggest deer I've ever had on camera, the kickers.
Yep.
And he was right at 200, and he was dead in the creek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This will be my second round of dealing with it. I mean, 2012 was the worst, and I'd say we're approaching that, but a couple years after it happened, I mean, it's some of the best hunting that I've ever had, so usually less stress.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
so we'll see. I mean, it is what it is. Nothing you can do about it right now, but
Yeah, it's kind of I kind of when I think of VHG, I think of if you're hunting that 200, that world class deer, and he dies VHG, kind of like Kalen, that big one that he found in the creek.
That, yeah.
Man, that would just put on your season. It just like, what do you do now? Like, how do you rebuild? You go somewhere else, or
yeah.
So hopefully you guys have some deer show up. I know where we own property around here, I haven't seen that much. There was deer in the river going over the Interstate 80 bridge, kind of where we catfish. But as far as seeing a lot of reports, you probably see that because you have Snapchat and you have how many people that follow you on Snapchat or how many friends?
I don't even know, to be honest.
Thousands?
But, I mean, it's quite a bit, yeah.
Because you run the TBI one, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically
yours.
my personal life.
Yeah.
I deleted my personal account because it just became mine. So it's probably 50-50 hunting stuff at this point. They probably think I'm more an advocate of Little Debbie snacks than I am deer hunting, but I'm proud of both.
Little
That is
Debbie
true,
snacks.
though. It is true. He's a much bigger Little Debbie eater than Hunter. So.
What's your favorite Little Debbie snack?
There's only one right answer.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas trees.
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
That's the right answer.
But I mean, yeah, I'll accept all of them.
Yeah. You look like a cosmic brownie guy.
I love cosmic brownies. Yeah, I was actually today. I was watching the Will Ferrell skit on it was a Jimmy Kimmel or one of those talk shows, and I thought of Brandon with the Little Debbie. I don't know if you guys seen that, but
No, I haven't. But I mean, it's bad when I took one of my wife's coworkers' kids. They're not outdoor people, and they wanted me to. That's the youth I took hunting last weekend, and he's never been involved in hunting. He only knew me through what his parents talk about, Paige and I. And the first thing he said when we got the blind is, "Hey, what snacks did you bring?" and so I was like, I had plenty, so I did fine. But
Zebra cakes.
Yep.
was it you or Zach that had a drawer full of snacks?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
And then crackers for your squirrel.
Yeah, my squirrels they're no longer around.
Oh man,
I'm not doing the
not
squirrel
doing
game
that.
right now. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Sounds like a sore subject.
Yeah, every time I'd get them to come in my office, then my LTL drivers or somebody would run them over. So
Man,
Right.
the only squirrels I liked in the state of Iowa.
yeah. The rest are running around your tree stand while you're deer hunting.
yeah, I'm not a fan of them then. But
So let's talk about your trip to Alaska. You just got back a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yep, I got back on like the 3rd of September.
Okay.
From Alaska.
So how was it? Let's hear about it.
It was like a lot different than I expected it to be.
Because you went all by yourself, right?
I went
you
with one other guy.
One
other guy. And he's kind of like an adult onset hunter. So it was kind of like I did a lot of leading in the process of outside of the logistics, like the getting the truck rented and like the just standard logistics things that you have to deal with whenever you're going somewhere else. He did a lot of that work. But as far as the like getting on the caribou and seeing them and like having the patience to just sit there in glass and like just go over the next hill. Is there something over the next hill? Is there something over the next hill? He wasn't really interested in that too much.
well, I mean, his
just how
his
it
background's
works.
waterfowl and watching migrations of snow geese come in. So you're expanding his horizons.
He's not a rover.
Yeah.
No, but and that ended up being like the ticket was that you just keep checking like what's over the next hill, what's over the next
Archery
hill.
or
I brought both. I brought a rifle and my bow. I tried for a couple days to do the archery thing, but like I was on the haul road, and the way that road works is that you have to be outside of 5 miles of the road to get to use your rifle. So like to get to use a rifle at that place, it's like a big commitment because walking in tussocks and stuff it's legit. It's like a serious thing. Like my knees are still.
So explain because I don't know what that is. What is this? Tussocks?
Yep, they're tussocks are like a little balls of grass that grow out there on the tundra. And so like the way that I would describe tundra is like you're walking on a memory foam mattress where like every, I don't know, half a foot or so, there's like a different density. And then there's these like fuzzy basketballs on top of that. So like you're like trying to walk through to not step on the basketballs because they just roll. And so your ankles will just roll.
Okay.
And then since it's different densities, because it's like lichen species, like it's kind of mushy, mossy. So like you'll be walking and then your foot will sink through. So you'll like almost trip because your foot sinks through. Or it'll be hard in one spot and then at your heel it'll be soft. So like your ankle kind of rolls back. And it's just like every single step is effort to get to where you're going.
Sounds horrible.
It's not like walking down a gravel road.
5 miles?
Yeah, with like practically an empty pack to like walk out there.
And then when you shoot one out that far, then you got to pack it back.
Yep,
So that's a chore too.
Yep, that's the hunt. Like
Wow.
that's the hunt. That's why you fly out.
Yeah, well, and I feel like when you're
That off the list.
Yeah. Won't do that one.
But it's something that I'll get to remember forever.
Yeah, I feel like the embrace the suck mentality. I remember on packing out an elk, and it was like 17 hours to get it packed out, and I was like, I have no interest in doing that. And I was like, that's exactly what I signed up for when I wanted to go on an elk hunt. Think how many hours you have in a tree stand, and like, would you sacrifice 17 hours to shoot a 200-inch deer?
Right.
Yeah, embrace that suck. It's a
Yeah,
lifelong
that's true.
goal, and 17 hours is a blip. So I would imagine dealing with that for 5 miles. I mean, your bucket list checking things off. It's worth it.
Yep.
Yeah. Is it one of those things like it was a bucket list? You're doing it once. Are you doing it
Was
again?
it random or you planned it all out?
I planned it like a year in advance.
Okay.
Like it started off being like, hey, what do you think of this idea? And so like that's how it started. We just were like, hey, would you do this? And so like my friend Alex, he was like, yeah, let's do it. So then we kind of revisited it a little bit closer. You start kind of planning for that in around January because you have to start like doing a lot of logistic stuff. You have to
Plane tickets.
You got to get a plane
Is it
ticket.
over the counter?
Yeah,
Thanks.
it is over the counter, so there's no need to apply. You can apply. There are units that you would need to draw for caribou, but the unit that I was, and some units have a limited amount of tags, so you have to like get them earlier in the process. Yeah. Like close to Fairbanks, you're gonna want to like get your tag early because those run out pretty quick.
Okay.
Cell phone reception. There's none out there?
Not a single bit.
Okay, so I wake up at like, 3, 4 in the morning and check my Stealth Cam app to see if there's any deer on there. And I got on Facebook after that. I'm like, I got a message. It's from Cassie. I'm like, what is this? Morgan's in Alaska. Have you heard from him? I'm like, what? Wait, what? I haven't heard from him from Sunday. I'm like, I'm freaking out at 3, 4 in the morning. I'm like, oh shit, who's this? Like I messaged her back, hey, who's this Alex guy? I don't know who he is. I'll look him up, try to contact him. So I was freaking out. But then she's like, the next day, she's like, oh yeah, he got a hold of me. So it's like, oh, thank God.
I got the same one. I was like, he has no service where he's at. But then, of course, she brings it up. I'm like, well, I haven't even thought to ask if, they're okay.
Yeah.
I said, best case scenario, they shot one and they're just not even looking at their phone, even if they get back.
Right.
Which ended up being the case.
Yeah.
Perception. You got one.
You shot one and then you had to haul it back 5 miles?
We had to haul it back a little bit farther than 5 miles. So, like, you have to get to 5 miles to get to use your rifle. That doesn't mean that the caribou are just like standing there waiting for you to, like, hey, you made it to 5 miles. Here's your reward. Yeah. You have to like keep walking. You have to keep checking those hills. So like it'll look like the next hill is, it's just within like sight. But that ends up being about a mile to get to the top of that next hill to check. Because like they're walking around, they could be
they don't ever
over
stop,
any
right?
hill
For the most part. I mean, they're constantly grazing and
they're constantly.
And they're migrating through there. Is that what?
Yeah.
Yep. That's so like if you just wait, sometimes they just walk to you.
Yeah,
which is kind of
difficult thing with caribou. I know because I've researched it a ton as well. Is it's hard for us that if they're not there, you're like, all right, if I'm out in Wyoming or Colorado, it's like we got to go find another place. They're not in this valley. Out in Wyoming, in Alaska, it can just turn on like that, and you've got a caravan of them coming by you because they're covering.
Mm-hmm. Do we want to talk about the like actual time whenever, like I shot it?
Yeah, you can talk about that.
All right, so the whole trip was kind of like up and down. Like we thought that we prepared, We thought that like we were ready to like handle this environment. We just thought, everybody that we talked to that had done it was basically like, prepare for it to be absolutely terrible. And like we would tell them our plans and they would just kind of laugh at us. So we were just thinking, those guys didn't train as hard as we have. I've been training since January. I've been walking with a pack. I've been going up hills. I've been doing every single thing I can think of to prepare for this. So like in my head, when I was going there, I was just thinking, these people didn't try as hard as I tried. There's no way that they prepared like I prepared. But then you get there and you completely understand why they talked like that to you. I don't want to like say that it's worth doing. It's definitely worth doing, but it's hard. It's harder than you think. So like if you have a level of where you think you need to prepare, try a little bit harder. Like put out a little bit more. So like, get your legs ready to be uneven. Like do some like maybe medicine ball stuff where you're like getting your like calves and like there's muscles all around your shin area. Get them all strong, not just
like neither of you have been out west hunting, right?
No.
So it's I mean, I think I probably have a pretty good sense of what it's like from the high altitude elk hunting, which is a whole nother step above where you and I went, Colorado. So at least you understand the difficultiness and vastness of it. And you guys, until you're out there, you wouldn't even understand the difficultiness of Western hunting. And then you go to varsity of the tundra, I imagine.
So I go to Colorado a lot. My parents live out there. So we stay up in the mountains. It's hard to sleep up there. I can't imagine trying to haul an elk out. I wake up, in the morning, I'm like trying to breathe because of just the air, so thin and up in elevations. I can't imagine pulling on an elk, but then throwing, with your legs and stuff. I got skinny legs as it is. It'd be kind of tough.
There was no you could breathe just fine there. It wasn't like high elevation.
Oh man, there was times when there was elk. Like I could have shot the elk, and I climbed this little bench. This was my second time archery hunting elk in Wyoming, and if the elk was in range, I wouldn't have been able to throw my bow and hit it at that thing. I was incapable of breathing.
Yep.
I mean, it's just until you're there.
Yeah.
So
there's some stores up there that sell canned air. So you can get catch your breath.
I think those are probably worth buying sometimes.
Oh, this sounds horrible.
Yeah, so don't vacation in Grand Lake, or where did we go last year? Up by Estes. Yeah, it's
I mean, my knees and ankles, I honestly don't think I could do it. Like the way you're talking, my knees and ankles are
5
shot.
miles. That's a long way.
I have blown out. I have no meniscus in one knee, and I have rolled one ankle so bad that, I used to squat all the time. I can't squat plates. I can't squat 135 parallel anymore. I physically can't do it.
Is there anything that you could cattail, walk in the cattails or walk in the marsh? That would be kind of.
I think maybe if you another thing that there is out there is there's this little scrub oak stuff in the drainages, and it kind of drags your feet. Shotgun hunting when you're pushing CRP. How your feet are constantly dragging
for bird hunting
and your hip flexors are dying. That happens too.
That's horrible.
It's great.
It's great.
You get plenty of that.
Sounds
too.
fun. I'm gonna stick to Iowa.
I'm confident Jesse will never be in Alaska.
I would love to do it, but and I had a conversation with somebody about going out west and doing all this stuff. You go out elk hunting, and how many times have you had another group of hunters come in on you? That deters me so much.
I think it fully depends on what your expectations are and how long you're willing to wait. So the preference, which it's changing drastically with regulations and point creep, but people have expectations of going out west and having a phenomenal hunt, and they get a tag where you needed 1 point or it's over the counter.
Right.
Well, everybody else has pretty much those same expectations as well. So all you do is see people where if you wait a decade. How long have you been hunting?
Right.
If you've been buying points from that time, you'd have 20 points already.
Right.
You go to a place that's hard to get into, and where I've been elk hunting twice, I never saw another person hunting those elk, and I was surrounded by bulls, and it was worth it. I went to Colorado on a mule deer hunt, I think, and Morgan was out there with me, and I saw more people than animals.
Yeah, Colorado's like a different beast.
Yeah.
Well, they have like recreation going
And so
on there too.
it's all about what your expectations are with what reality is. Kind of like if you know this is going to suck going into it 5 miles, if you mentally prepare for that, it's okay. But if you go there thinking it's sunshine and it's a storm, you're not prepared. But it sucks.
And my biggest thing, and I'm my mentality, I'm an instant gratification person. That's why I'm more than capable of been putting in for this stuff for 15 years. I just don't do it because I don't want to wait 5 years. Like I don't. I will not. Like I would rather save my money, pay $15,000 and go with an outfitter and do it one time than to wait 5 years to hopefully draw and then hopefully get an opportunity. I know it's hunting, but if I would rather,
there's a pay to play aspect.
I would rather save for a
your
couple
odds
years
are probably better if you have an outfitter that's
right
top
And
tier.
for
Right?
doing, yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, I've been.
But
out
you do
on,
all the
I've been out on 5 or 6 Western hunts, and I'd say I'm at like 50% success. I mean, antelope is a great starter.
Yeah, you should do
I
that.
think that's what
You
I'm
should
gonna do.
never use and nothing against guides, nothing against outfitters. You should never use a guide or outfitter for antelope. It's harder to go into Iowa and kill a squirrel than I'd say to go on public land and kill an antelope.
And everybody I've talked to, the farmers hate them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like just go knock
if
on
you're
a door.
personable, knock on a door.
May
you'll get
pay a
permission.
trespassing fee to get on the property. But I got a buddy that lives out by past the Black Hills and out there, and he's like, yeah, man, we have a ranch, we have antelope all over the place. Why would you want to come out here and shoot one of those? I'm like, sign me up.
And again, those easy to get into areas, you'll have tons of opportunity. The age class is just a little different. So it's, to me, when I was out there, if there was an 80-incher standing next to a 40-incher on an antelope my first year, I didn't care. That meant nothing to me. An antelope was a trophy. I didn't care.
Yep.
I'm at the point now where I'm saving points for a harder to get unit. I've shot 2
antelope. You're waiting for like a trophy.
And also my time. I mean, I own a business. I've got a child. It's just if my bang for the buck, I'm still going to DIY it.
Right.
But I'm going to DIY it in an area that it takes time.
And you have your own farm, and you're trying to set up food plots and all that stuff. So that I put like all my chips in the whitetail basket, and I don't know that I'll ever get out of that. Maybe I'll go out to Colorado someday, but
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys, what would you rather do? Would you rather whitetail hunt in Iowa if you had like just 2 options, or you go elk hunt Colorado or out west? Would you choose Iowa?
I'd say I'm as passionate about whitetail as most people I know. And that first time I had elk bugling with me with a bow in my hand, I'd say it's potato. I mean, I'm happy if I choose one or the other, and it's you got to experience it. It's worth it. We live in Iowa, so of course I'm gonna hunt deer every year in Iowa. We're spoiled.
Yes.
I don't know about what you, but I mean, I would probably, if I had to choose one or the other, I would raise a family in Iowa and I would Western hunt.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, it's just, and I could go out there with a camera. It's just beautiful. It's different. You see every species.
That would be cool. Instead of like, I saw 30 deer, you can say, well, I saw a moose, and I saw an elk, and I saw a mule deer, and whitetail, and bear,
And mountain lion,
and all sorts of stuff. Like that,
And I mean,
that would be pretty cool.
How long was your Alaska trip? Total. Travel, everything.
8 days.
Yeah, that's a commitment, right? That's tough. When we go out to Wyoming, I mean, antelope's different. You can do like a 4-day weekend and tag out with antelope, but it's hard. It's not, I think it's just, that's part of the fun, but I don't know, 50-50.
I think that I have a little bit of a different perspective on it because, so you guys are my close friends. You guys have unbelievable places to shoot gigantic bucks. The majority of my life has been spent hunting public, like hunting stuff and like seeing all my close friends have like 190s to go hunt. When I go out west, I've got unlimited space where like I have absolutely equal playing field across everything. And that feels pretty cool. Like when you go out west, it's everyone's. Like a lot of the places you go, there's so much public land that like I can get away from people easy. When I went to Montana a couple years ago, I barely got off the road. Maybe 3 or 3.5 miles away, there wasn't a soul around me. And there were nice mule deer in that area. Like there was legit mule deer. Nobody even considered it.
And Iowa's kind of, it's not like what you know, it's who you know. Like as far as you meet one guy that opens up all the doors and he can have 10 different properties for you to hunt. That was my case.
Yeah.
I was fortunate to have a lot of properties because I met one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fortunate to have lots of options to hunt deer.
You probably have enough that people are like, hey, come out here.
It's amazing on how popular my phone gets in September. I haven't heard from y'all a year, but hey, I'm good at saying no. But and I agree. You go out west, it just changes. And in Iowa, there's property lines. There's not that many places where everything I see I can hunt. When you're out west, there's a lot of places where you're back in the public. Everything you see can hunt, and it's hard to fathom. I used to watch YouTube videos and be like, oh, you see a bull, but you're choosing not to go after it. I can't fathom that. Go after it. Then you get out there and you're like, I wouldn't be able to get to it before dark.
Yeah.
But you can see it.
Really?
It's just your depth perception. It's different. And I mean, you're two totally different games. It's like playing baseball and golf back-to-back days. I mean, they're different.
I mean, I would do that, but I wouldn't want to go by myself. I would go with, somebody that's been doing it a couple times, so at least I'm not handicapped in the aspect of I don't understand what I need to do sort of thing.
It's a social thing for me. I prefer going. I mean, it's more fun, the camaraderie, than it is. Like I said, I could go out with a camera at this point.
Right, but it's and if you go out with a group of guys, it's not like 5 guys are going up one valley all together in one group.
No.
You're like, okay, you may single out if somebody wants to single out, or you could go in pairs or have somebody call for you and all that, so you can get around and still be with more people, but yet.
Yeah. And I know, I know 3% probably of going out west. I am by no means, I just like it.
I'm still in the middle of learning. Like I've went out quite a bit. I haven't done it for that many years. I think maybe 4 years of going out west. I packed a lot of trips in those 4 years, but I'm not even scratching the surface of understanding what I need to do. I kind of I'm starting to get mule deer a little bit. I'm feeling a little bit stronger with mule deer. I'm 2 for 2 filling tags. I got a 4-point last year. It was pretty cool, but elk, absolutely no idea. Like it just feels like I'm just walking around like a crazy person most of the time, but it's still fun to do it. Like it's fun to, maybe by the time my kids are old enough to be able to walk with me out there, maybe by then I'll have it figured out enough.
And they're like, as far as going out there and doing it, every state's different with the regulations, right? Like in Colorado, you might be able to get, my dad might be able to buy a tag and then give it to me. Like there's just and maybe that's not true. I don't know, but it's just so like, there's so many different aspects to going out there. Like you have to do the research, like you said. Yeah. And when I've been out there, I've seen a ton of elk, but most of them, they're down in Estes Park running around, or they're in Tim's backyard, and it's a different world. And I haven't explored that, but I'm not getting any younger. So I probably should, I remember years ago when we were doing food plot stuff over where that big tall brow buck was.
Yep.
Remember that old boy walking down the road with a rifle?
Yep. Yeah, I remember that exact day.
And he doesn't go out west anymore, but I mean, at what age I can't hike the mountains anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I mean, everyone should go experience it if hunting's a passion, and especially if you're saying that your needs are getting worse every year. Yeah. I mean, plan a shed hunting trip. Go just walk.
I want to do that
experience
bad.
It.
We've talked about it a lot.
We talk about it every year, and it's just, and that would be the time to do it.
I mean, points are still open. You can buy points right now for Wyoming. I mean, it's like $32 for an antelope.
And that's why it's so stupid. Like it's so cheap to do it. Like, I spend $32 in 2 or 3 days on coffee and crap
at Casey's.
Driving
pizza
up down south, back and forth every day. Just take one day off, and there's your gas.
Right. Yeah. So like I said, it's just trying to do it and then wait. And I don't know. I've had an invite to go to Kentucky for 4 years, and I finally went this year to deer hunt.
And you came back right away.
And I came back right away because it was 105 degrees.
Yeah.
And I did it. I was on public, hang and hunt. I hate that stuff. But I'm like, if this is what I got to do, this is what I got to do. But it was so hot, I never saw a deer from the stand.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
And I'm like, I'm out.
Especially from the time commitment. I mean, that's as each year goes on. I mean, my time's getting more and more condensed from I've got a commitment to my family. I've got a commitment to the business I own. And then hunting comes into play. And it seems like, prior to having a child, my wife understands come fall, I'm probably, 15 to 20 feet up and text me when you need something kind of thing. Well, now that I have a child, my desire to be in a tree stand is not as high as it used to be.
It goes down.
Absolutely.
Is she 3 or 4?
She's 4.
So she goes with you like in the muddy blind or
something.
something.
100%.
So she likes going.
She's asking every day. She'll be out there with me. But it's, priorities change. I'm more excited about this youth season than I am. I could care less right now at this point if I see a deer for myself.
Yep.
I can shoot a doe if I need to. But so priorities shift and change, and time is, I know, becoming less and less to come by.
But you will find, like, my kids are a little bit older and they go a little bit, but you'll find that it shifts back.
Oh yeah, come deer season, I'm going to be in a tree stand.
I mean, Avery's old enough. You've probably seen it where the first couple of years you're like, screw it, I don't want to go hunting. I want to hang out with her. She's doing all these cool things, and now to the point you don't feel so bad. Like, if I take a Saturday afternoon off and you can hang out with mom, I'm going to go sit in a tree. And it's
100%.
So you kind of get that curve where it's like, you hunt all the time, and then all of a sudden the kid shows up and you just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it levels back out and you're like, I'm going to step back up and start doing it again. And
there's going to be a point where she doesn't like me. So then, of course, I'm going to want to be in a
yeah. It's not that far off, I'll tell you that much.
Sure. I mean, I did my first Canada fishing trip this year, and it was similar experience to your Alaska trip. I had 0 cell service for 8 days. And that was probably one of the harder things I've done, because not knowing if something happens to your family or what's going on in the business. I mean, it's tough. And it was probably the first 3 days of the trip, I was still reaching for my pocket to check my phone. There was probably only a 2-day window of where I was just didn't think of my phone, which was very refreshing, to be honest, because I'm glued to my phone.
How many Snapchats did you have when you got reception?
I make a point to respond to every one of them, which is a lot a day. And I didn't respond to any of them. I just opened them, and they'll reach out. It was rough from a stamp, but it was refreshing for a couple of days not to have cell service. But then that couple of days leading back into it, then start thinking of it again.
Yep. How's the fishing?
World class. So when you went to Alaska, you probably either hyped it up or you hype your trips up when you do something you've always wanted to do. And I hyped Canada up for how fishing was going to be, and rarely does a hype trip meet your expectations, and it absolutely exceeded my expectations of a hype trip. So I'll do it again.
Nice.
Walleye, main thing?
We targeted muskie and pike most of the time, and walleye was so easy that at any point in time throughout the day, we could go to a spot and instantly catch walleye every second of the day. I mean, if I'd say you wanted to catch 1,000 walleye in a trip,
you could. No
that
problem.
was an understatement.
Sign me up.
Mm-hmm. And I've boated 5 or 6 good muskie, I'd say, in my lifetime, and my goal was to hook into one. I mean, I quit counting and hooking into probably 20, and it was more than that. And then the follows and figure 8 in them, and my goal was a 40-inch pike I wanted, and I said I'd get a replica made of a 40-inch pike, because that's kind of like a 50-inch muskie. After my 12th 40-inch plus northern, I'm like, maybe my goal should have been 45. I mean,
what outfitter did you use? Tell us.
It wasn't through an outfitter.
Really?
Buddy of mine's been going for 20-plus years. He knew it was a fly-in, but we took a boat. We took our own boat, and it was like a 90-minute boat ride to this cabin, and he had all the spots memorized. He even used his fish finder. He's like, yeah, drop over here. We'll catch walleye.
Does he want to be an outfitter?
Yeah.
I'll sign up.
And that's one of those things. Like, you go with somebody that's done it for years.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just... Man, I mean, there's a billion lakes up there. I can't imagine going to one, and hoping to do that. But with him having all that knowledge, it exceeded your expectations.
Well, and he even said this was one of the best fishing he ever had, because I was using like topwater bass lures and different things. We didn't see anybody else also while we were up there, and so he was trying in different spots, and it was every cast. I mean, if it makes sense to get tired of catching a high 30s northern pike, and I think it was possible, you would like pull it out of the water before they would bite the lure, because you're just tired of catching big fish.
Wow. And now do you bring your own fishing rod and fishing tackle?
Literally everything, except for there's regulations, like you can't bring bait across the Canada border. Yeah, we got groceries. So we went up through International Falls, and then right past International Falls, Fort something. I can't remember what it is. But so we got groceries there. Then it was about a 3-hour drive to the boat ramp. Put it into the boat ramp. 90-minute ride to the cabin. And then we never even fished within. We didn't fish the same spot twice. In 8 days, we didn't fish the same spot twice.
That sounds fun.
Right?
Yeah.
I would do that before I would do what he did.
Yeah.
My legs couldn't do it.
Yeah. I'd say, I mean, if you need your own boat, because the boats they offered there was boats there you could use, and you would not enjoy your trip at all. You couldn't stand a cast. It was just, cheap.
Your John boats, V-bottoms.
Yeah. And it was,
Little tiny motors.
yeah. Yeah. So, worth doing.
Nice.
Highly recommend it.
Are you going to get any of those fish mounted? Any of the
I planned on getting a replica made.
Replica?
But I caught so many of them, and I'm going to go back. I'm like, I'm going to wait
Maybe
for
next
a
time.
45-incher. Yeah.
Nice.
And we had multiple 50-plus muskies hooked up or caught. Didn't use a net the entire trip. Guy I was with doesn't do nets, so we didn't lose one because of not having a net either.
I think I remember the pictures, and it looked like you caught so many. I was like, that looks like the same fish because you caught so many of them.
Yeah. I quit taking pictures of fish. I mean, it was I can't. Yeah, it was a phenomenal trip. Highly recommend it.
That's cool.
I mean, they have Anderson's Lodge is the name of the resort that we used, and you can get guides through them, but it wasn't. We were up far enough where it's kind of a DIY fly-in thing or boat in. So,
Back to your caribou. Are you getting that mounted? Is Dylan doing it?
I'm just going to do a Euro.
Nice.
Was it in velvet? It was in velvet.
It was in velvet. Yep, the
You get
velvet
that-
was really nice too.
You get that velvet saved?
Yeah,
You have to inject it, or how's that work?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna let DK figure out.
Oh, Dylan's doing it. Nice.
Yeah, I think I think they're far enough. They're not like so far like that they're ready to shed or anything like that. I think they hold on to them quite a bit longer than like the deer do. Like right here, when you get to like September, you're like, well, any day now, all these deer are going to be shedding because Dylan that shot that buck in Kentucky, it would have been shed out the next day. Like he shot it.
It's peeling.
It wasn't peeling at all. By the time we get out there, like 3 hours later, you could see it was starting to go. And then he brought it out to score it again the next, put it, caped it all out, put it in the freezer, brought it out the next day, and it was splitting on every single time.
Wow.
Like it was 100% would have shed that night, And
what did your mule? You cleaned up your mule deer, didn't you? The Wyoming one.
The first mule deer that I shot had a little bit of velvet left on it, but it was kind of it was shed now. It was shed out kind of.
Yeah.
It was kind of gross. I kept it on there just to do it.
to try to keep it on there?
Yeah.
Did you end up pulling it or
No,
it's
I just left it the way it was.
Okay.
I had to
Welsh
like
did that
pay
one,
a
right?
little bit extra. Yeah, Welsh did it.
Can Dylan do what Welsh does with the velvet, the magnetic stuff?
put it back on?
That I'm not sure.
Have you seen that
I'd assume,
process? It's kind of
yeah.
cool.
I mean, Dylan's pretty talented. I
Dylan
would
is very
say
good.
He can probably figure out
think
about anything or know
It's
somebody.
kind of a shout out to him, but I think we all use him, and he's done all of these deer.
Yeah.
So
I've
he's-
got 2 deer that I'll be picking up here pretty
I
soon.
wish
I
you'd
imagine.
hurry up and get my muzzleloader deer done.
Yeah, Dylan.
I feel like that's all of us.
I told
Will
him
you hurry
that.
up?
I
My
told him
God.
that he can wait until hopefully I drop more deer off this fall or winter.
The only
I'm
reason,
in no rush.
the only reason I say it is I have a turkey in my freezer that Sophie or Charlotte shot a deer the other day, and I had to, so I cleaned it all up as just a doe. And I'm like, I don't have very much freezer room with this full size turkey in my deep freeze.
You can get that mounted?
Yeah,
You might as well.
I mean,
So take it to the taxidermist.
I'm
Yeah,
going
give it
to
to Dylan.
I'm trying to kill. I'm going to pick up my muzzleloader buck at the same
You know
time.
what? The best thing is,
Not
when you-
having a balance at the taxidermist. That'd be
yeah, well, that
cool.
too. But
It's expensive.
Dylan, he hunts. He's got a farm right over here.
Right.
And so I've dropped, last year he came over and caped out Carlos. But every time that he'll either come do it for me, or I get you to take it, or I get Mark to take it.
I don't
or
think you've ever been to a shop.
I haven't. And he
I
kind
was
of
there like 3 times in a 2-week span because I shot the first buck on my farm, so I obviously was gonna get. I said I wasn't gonna get deer mounted last year, and then I shoot a buck on my farm, so of course I'm gonna get that mounted. It was the only deer that I said I would shoot there, and he showed up. And then a buck that I had 3 years of history with, I killed last week. Cellcams killed that deer, and of course I was
that
history
was
with
late
it.
muzzleloader.
Yeah, late muzzleloader. Yeah, wasn't gonna hunt that farm again, and he showed up late morning on this camera. And I'm
Thank
like,
God
well,
for cell cams.
He's going to bed. So
That's how I killed that big 9-pointer. I mean, literally walked in front of it, going to bed. I'm like, you're so screwed.
Yeah.
That I shot him that night.
I went and sat in his bedroom on the ground, and it was like,
Yep, that's
to a T.
exactly what I did. Shot
So
him at like 60
that's not the one
yards.
that his antlers fell off, right?
no, that was
years ago?
That was like 4 years ago
Was it?
now.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was also on the ground. It was 18 below that day. Absolutely miserable.
I kind of love watching your snaps when like you're on the ground and you're snapping the does or there's a buck running around.
Yeah.
So if you don't follow him on Snapchat, you should.
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, I used to worry about what goes on there all the time, and like you all know, you can't please everybody. So now it's just there'll be probably more mistakes on there than there are successes, and it's all fun. But yeah, we've had some.
You've passed some big deer over the years too.
I don't know how many times I'm like.
You've passed some
stupid.
giant deer.
I get
You have to get
Giant.
so much hate.
I get ran through the mud.
That one last year.
Yeah,
That
he found a
10?
shed. He lived. Yeah.
And he was big too.
It was a good deal. I mean, it's one of those things where, and people take it as, like, I don't care what other people shoot. If that deer is what you want, I would be absolutely pumped for you. It just was not what I was looking for.
Yep.
And there was deer in the area that is what I was looking for.
And I think we all get it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're like,
Oh, I got ran through the mud.
I'm like,
I
good
got,
God.
Is that the one that was in the blind?
No, I was
No,
up
in
my
the tree
stand.
Oh, in the tree stand.
Like 60s.
And he put on a show because
was
he
it
was
60s or 70s? I mean,
No, he wasn't 70s.
He wasn't 70s, but he was.
I mean,
he was in
he's
the-
a good deer.
He was in the 60s.
I think he was
heavy.
I think he was mature. It was one of those where I did go to pick up my bow at first, and then he came in, and I was just like, I'm just not feeling it, and so I Snapchatted him, and oh my gosh, I got destroyed.
I mean, it's just and he's just right there, like 10.
If Morgen
10
was in the tree with me, Morgen would have tagged out, and I would have been pumped.
it was like 10 or 12 yards. I'm like waiting.
I'm gonna
waiting.
say he's. I mean, there's angles where he looks really big, and there's angles where he didn't look big.
Yeah, I'll
and
give you that.
It was like I'd go to shoot him, and I'd say, "Ooh, no!" He just looked at me at a certain angle, and no, that's not what I want. And I knew the deer, but there's just
But you're hunting something else.
something else, and he put on a show. I mean, he growled and grunted and did all kinds of stuff. I had over an hour of watching him, and there's another 4-year-old there this year that's going to be an absolute lifetime deer, I think.
Just checking the
And
camera.
he was with him at the same time. And it's sometimes I'd rather just snap him and I watch those videos back. It's as much for me to look back as it is for.
That's
it's
cool.
definitely not bragging of passing a deer. It's just didn't do it for me. I'm sure you've been
I
there.
get it.
Yeah.
And we all get it, but and then it all depends on like the time of the season. Like I think I was tagged out at that point, so I'm like rooting for him. Like, all right, the next snap's gonna be bloody arrow on the ground. I'm like, hey, where's this deer? I walked and I'm like, oh, you fucking idiot.
I tell you what, the one thing I love Snapchat for is when your buddies shoot a deer, and I have fear of missing out because I want to go help. Like, hey Jen, it's Tuesday night at 8:00. Can I go help Morgan go track a deer? And she looks at me like, are you crazy? I'm like, yeah, kind of.
Right.
I love tracking.
Yeah.
It's so fun just having that bond with your friends. Like you're looking for a deer, and if you don't find it, then it sucks. But
Yeah, there's been a lot of that over the last few years with exciting. I remember I was in the movie theater and somebody had shot a deer, and I was like, I can't even. I missed an entire hour of the movie because I was just like, send an update on this Snapchat. Like, let's go.
And then I remember we did when I shot that one. We all did a FaceTime on River Junkies.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yeah,
I remember I
remember.
screenshotted you, I think Bishers, and you were here.
I was there.
Yep.
Well, and it's one of those things like when somebody's like, somebody's going to go hunting from it, and then you get this phone call or text, and it's like an hour before dark. You're like, you son of a... You did it with that deer. You called it, and you call me, and you did it with the Big 8, on the public.
Oh, yeah.
When we saw him the night before,
yeah.
and then I'm like, dude, you need to go sit on the ground. And I was doing something with the family, and you call me, and I'm like, no way. And I just answer the phone. I'm like, you killed him. Is that
When you get a call at that time, you know exactly
Yeah,
what it is.
it happened.
Except for when I shoot one and I call everybody, and nobody answered. When I shot that big
That's because
one.
everybody messaged ahead of time. Goes, Jesse calls.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
ignore him.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't even.
I shot that big one down south, and I called like 7 people, and this is 2:00 in the afternoon. Nobody answered. I was just like, the most depressed. This sounds bad. I ended up calling my wife. I'm like, I just shot a deer. She's like, well, did you tell everybody? I'm like, I called everybody. You're like my 7th phone call. And she's like, yeah, why would you even call me?
The worst is
what did Greg say? He didn't answer. I don't know. I called him 7 times.
I was chasing a pretty good deer, and I had one come in. And oops, deer happens. But I remember that exact same thing happened where I'd shot what I thought was a different deer. Because the rut, you know?
Yep.
You love or hate it. And you and Luke came down. And I thought I had hit it high. It'd be a perfect double lung shot and walk up on it and was like, oh, no.
That's the wrong one.
It was definitely the wrong one. And it happens.
I got one of those on my wall.
Yeah, mine's on the
The
wall.
6x6?
Yeah. He was. They come in fast sometimes, and you have to.
And my stand was so high that you're looking down on it. I mean, it was, it happens.
Yeah.
But you guys came down at it was 11 o'clock at night we found that sucker. Worst drag out of a whitetail ever.
Yeah, that was terrible. I drove down real quick. It was dark already by the time I started driving. It was a terrible drag.
It's horrible.
It was like every single multi-flowered rose bush we could walk through. We had to through creeks over and over and over again. It felt like
Southern Iowa.
Up
Like it needs to be a pack out.
It made it
Yeah,
like,
we
it
should've.
made it like
Man.
1,000 yards.
Wow.
Yeah,
And it was double lung, perfect shot.
it was crazy.
And there was if you drew a map of exactly the middle of the spot where there was no good place to come get it, that's what it was.
You could have packed it out.
And then I had, I had 2 people there to watch. Thankfully, it wasn't as big as I was thinking it was. So I mean, it's rough.
That's great.
I packed one out a long time ago down at my uncle's, like way back in the day. Went way, way, way back, and they're like, you're 500-600 yards away from anywhere to get in a vehicle. And I was all by myself, and I'm like, so I caped it out, took that out, pulled the front quarters, and the loins. Left.
That's kind of unheard of too in Iowa. At least people don't really do it, but we had that camera on public last year.
Oh, yeah.
Over by Redfield, and there was one guy walking out, and then 6 guys walking in, and then 6 guys walking out with backpacks with all the meat, and the guy had their rack. And
I mean, before I had a truck, I had a Grand Prix, and I'd be down in southern Iowa, hours away, and you'd report the deer. I'd be really good friends with the DNR in the area, and I'd say, hey, I got a deer. I reported it because you're not supposed to, I think, fully debone a deer out in the field or at the time.
I don't know about debone it, but I did ask the DNR at the Deer Classic, like, hey, if I'm really far back on public, can I
quarter
pack it out, quarter it up and pack it out? And he's like, yeah, go for it.
So, I mean, it'd be in Ziploc baggies in a backpack, fully ready to go, because, I mean, I didn't have one to truck at them. This is 15 years ago,
Yeah.
10 years ago.
throw it in the Grand Prix and take
That
off.
Grand Prix was down so many level B roads that it shouldn't have been down.
That's great.
Yeah, definitely more exciting and adventurous 10 years ago than it is now.
Yeah, no cameras and
Yeah.
surprise. I have one farm that I intentionally didn't put cameras on most of it. So I do have one farm that's an absolute surprise right now. And I know there's a big one around.
a big one?
So, yeah.
So do you got any big ones you want to share with us? You don't have to share any pictures, but are you going to be that you have on camera or anything that's
I mean, I have there's a deer that I was after last year that I know the neighbor called and confirmed that it's on camera, which is hundreds of yards from one of my tree stands, and he's big, and so he is hands down my number one. Usually they end up on acorns on mine early season, so and that I don't have cell cams on that side of the farm, so right now I'm focused on youth season. I'm taking a kid Sunday, but
okay?
probably come October, and
Which is 9 days away.
yeah, I'll be down there in timber on acorns for a few days. So there's a few that are exciting. Otherwise, it seems like I'm a year or two away. There's a lot of really good 4-year-olds,
And I did think the first week of October is supposed to be bomber.
yeah,
Red Moon.
I think this Sunday is going to be amazing for kids. There's nasty thunderstorms moving in the morning, and it's going to stop midday, and it's going to be like in the 50s Sunday night. And that,
So Sunday.
over Greensort, I think there's
Okay.
going to be some big ones.
It's supposed to rain Friday and Saturday, and then
Friday, Saturday, and
Sunday.
Sunday morning.
Okay.
So
Interesting. Well, I
Sunday
guess we'll have to go.
Sunday evening should be pretty good.
I told Jace we'd go tomorrow if it's not raining, but it's probably going to be raining. So
yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Just this time of year, it can miss. Like the last 2 down south have missed both of my farms.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just come on. I need a little bit more to get these.
We got some good rains here.
Yeah, I think my farm, because I'm a few miles from Duncan, I think I got 2 inches the other day. I mean, I'm at the point now where I know this time next week, people are going to snap me for that. I'm going to say, stop raining. Like, I don't want any more rain. Brassicas are fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, be out Sunday.
So what do you got for food plots? I seen you got a corn plot. You got beans too.
I've got corn,
fenced.
beans. Took all the fences down.
We did.
I take the fences down earlier than most people because I've had, bucks start shedding their velvet. They get a little frisky. I've had deer wrapped in them, and it's just
Okay.
When they move to green source and acorns, they're not really hammering the grains and beans. So my fences are down, and
Is your corn okay? I know Nick was.
corn's corn's great. And I also, turkeys dug up half of it. So it only was about 50% germinated. Phenomenal. And then I threw in sorghum, and it's thick sorghum. So, I mean, I've got beans to clover and rye to corn and back to beans. I mean, it's a deer buffet.
Nice.
So, not for lack of effort. There's plenty of food.
I've seeded, I think, like 5 or 6 times my big plot, and it's like finally looking good. So
yeah.
I could go for some more rain.
And my brassica that I call the strip, it's phenomenal. It's probably
You got a muddy blind on that?
I've got a
plot?
muddy. Yep, we've got 3 at my farm over all the food. I'll be at my farm on Sunday with the kid. I think Brooks.
Cool.
So it'll be his second hunt. I think first deer that's mature. He doesn't care if it's a buck or doe. So,
That's what's nice about youth hunting. Like my girls don't care. They've both shot one good deer, and I asked Charlotte, like, "What do you want to shoot?" She's like, "Whatever." Like that's what I like.
Yeah,
to
and
hear.
Jace was like, "Oh, I'm gonna shoot a big buck." And so we have a spike come out last Saturday. He's like, "I want to shoot that one." Yep, I'm shaking. This is
That's
awesome.
exactly what happens to me.
oh, yeah.
my
Are we talking you or the
Yeah.
kids?
Yeah, my standards are here when the season starts, and then they just kind of get to this, and then I'm like trying to justify this 130-inch 3-year-old. I'm like, he's probably never going to be any bigger. He looks like a bully.
Go ahead,
buck.
shoot him.
He's a bully buck.
Yeah.
Look at that 2-inch brow tine.
I like sheds. I mean, these are
Right.
how many times I've been full draw on a deer and I'm like, ooh,
I want your sheds.
I want your shed. So I let down. But yeah, so the boy I took on Sunday, Brooks, he kind of talked while we were going down there. And he said, "All right, I'm gonna get excited. I've never been on a hunt before. Don't let me shoot a doe 5 minutes into the hunt. We'll wait till dark." Because I told him I'll commit to taking you all year, whatever the season is. So you'll get an opportunity. We're not in the stand or in the blind 30 seconds, and there's a doe out feeding, and he's like, "So do I take the safety off now?" And I'm like, "Hey, just enjoy your zebra cake,
That is
and let's
so
just
cool.
relax."
That is
right?
so cool. I love it.
So we told him you gotta wait one hunt. So Sunday it's
Brown is down.
brown. If it's not a fawn, it's down.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's exciting.
yeah.
They're super tender though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're really easy to drag.
And
Yes.
I will,
So there's a chance you could shoot a world-class buck or you could shoot a big doe. But as long as he's excited, I'm excited about it.
I will knock the milk right off of Fawn's lips.
Well, I'm proud of you for taking out a kid. There's so many kids out there that don't get a witness or don't have a dad that hunts or a grandpa. So getting the youth into the outdoors it's great to see. So
Yeah, it's dwindling, unfortunately. So I'm all about it. I was more excited about a doe walking out for a youth than I am for a buck for me. So it's different stages, like you said, And I will take a kid hunting any day over me going hunting, and it's just to see. I mean, I'm not taking somebody's kid that. If
You're not going to take
if
my
Jesse
kid?
said,
Come
"Hey,
on."
would you take my daughter hunting?" You got plenty of spots.
Yeah. Someone that doesn't. Yeah.
But yeah, so I encourage everybody.
Yeah, seeing
Get out
that look in their eye, like when that velvet spike came out, like, "Jason, want to shoot that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm shaking. Let's do it." And then he had just trying to teach him and coach him through that. Hey, there's a doe behind, and he got to learn that. And then after the hunt, we went to our buddy's barn, and they shot a deer. The next morning, we went out with the 3 kids. I don't know if you've seen the pictures. and we blood trailed a deer. So he got to be a part of that camaraderie with the younger kids, and he's so excited. When we found Mark's boy's deer, and it was just really, really neat just seeing him interact with the other kids. I mean, so you get banter out.
You're getting
jealous
close,
of that.
right? You're close.
I'm going to wait till next year. I need my son to kind of be with it a little bit more than he is now.
And the biggest thing that the conversation I had with my girls was, you have to understand what you're doing. Like, that was my biggest
You're taking
thing.
a life.
Taking a life. And, like,
that's a big deal.
You need to understand. And, like, my wife has went deer hunting one time. She shot a doe with a muzzleloader, and, like, she just started crying, and she couldn't, like, she's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. It's like, no, this makes you normal.
Yeah.
And it's just like
it's part of the learning of the hunt.
It's a respect.
Yes.
It's a respect for it.
But
and people don't understand that don't hunt.
People can't wrap their head around, not just kids, adults in general. I remember I gun hunted I thought Iowa deer hunting consisted of 5 days early December growing up, because my dad shotgun hunted.
Yep.
Right? So I didn't even know youth season was a thing in archery. And I remember a customer of mine who worked at Brownells and then Shields, and he was like, hey, you want to buy I'm having twins, so I'm not going to hunt much. I'm going to buy my bow. So I buy his bow, and that first time that doe was in sight, 300 yards away, and all of a sudden my knees are shaking.
Yeah.
Control yourself.
Yeah.
Get control of yourself. And it's my wife, she shot her first deer, and she was like, I'm not even cold. Why am I shaking? It's like, that's just
Charlotte did that on Sunday. Like, she's like, and I made her blood trail the whole thing, and, the deer went like 50 yards, and she's like 20 minutes later, like, I'm getting ready to field dress it, and she's just like shaking. She's like, I can't stop. And I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's the coolest thing.
Just like a week ago, she didn't want to go. I'm like, we're going to go. You like it once you get out there. And I was like, and she's like, can I get another tag? I want to keep going, or can I just go with you? Or when you take Sophie, can I go with?
Can a youth get another antlerless for youth, or does that have to be a state?
You can get other tags.
Yeah, I think you can get multiple youth, but and like great hunter Tyler. Remember Tyler Knott?
Yep.
I remember one year he got $3, I think. He got his youth buck and archery buck, and
you're allotted as a licensed hunter, because they're hunting under yours.
Yeah.
Like, they can get an archery tag, and they can.
I know they can get that, but can they get an antlerless
sure
for youth?
I think they can. The kid that I took last year, he used his doe tag for that deer that he shot.
Okay. So I had specifically text my DNR officer for that, because Ryan in our snap group was asking, because I said, hey, you want to bring your kids down to clear some does? This is before I think the entire population is laying in creeks and ponds right now. But and I said, I better verify. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. But then I think the antlerless was for youth, and then same thing. You have to use whatever's in session.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the best.
Oh, so their youth antlerless goes.
Yes, as long as you buy.
Because that's one thing that's weird on the tag.
As long as you buy it before youth season is over.
Right.
Don't buy tags and hunt out of season, because I just said that, but verify.
Yeah, verify it. Yeah.
So if you buy a youth tag, so like let's say you didn't buy Jace a youth tag, and October 10th rolls around,
you can't buy a youth tag anymore.
You can't buy a youth tag anymore.
Yeah.
So if you buy a youth doe tag, it's good till January 10th. You just have to use whatever weapon is in season.
That is correct.
So and that's awesome. I mean, the fact that they'll let the kids go the whole time,
as it should. I mean, they as much time as we can get him out, it's like, so Banner next year, you think he'll be good?
Yeah, I think next year. Since we're moving to that place where he can practice now, we have some room for him to be shooting a 22 and like understanding like how you can walk around with a weapon safely.
Yep.
How important it is to make sure that you're looking what's behind what you're trying to shoot. I just need him to just like understand. I don't think that he's quite as mature as Jace. I know he's older than Jace, but I think he's just kind of a goofball still.
He is, and I noticed that in T-ball. Like, there's some kids listening. Banner's just, he's athletic. He is a goofball. So it might take him next year.
Yeah, he just needs some time to get a little bit more mature. I know I want him to hunt.
Yeah,
I want to be able to
I'd like
take my son
Avery
to go
next year, my daughter, but I know she's so small. She's probably going to be closer to 10 than she is right now when she gets to go, because she's got to safely be able to do it.
And I think one thing I've done, as far as we got some beefy Nerf guns, you brought one over that I don't know that any adult should shoot, battery operated thing. So we practiced with the Nerf guns, with one, not shooting at humans, and two, trigger safety and, leaving your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire and those targets and what's behind it. So we've practiced that. And then it led into shooting his BB gun or pellet gun. And then we shot a 410 in the turkey. That was my mistake. I had the bog pod too high on this turkey, beating up the decoy for like 15 minutes. And he was trying to get his little red dot on there in the tripod. The bog pod's going up and down. And he couldn't get on it. And I was like, oh, man. And I was kind of hard on him then. But shooting the deer gun, he's done a really good job at that. So that bog pod's it's a lifesaver.
That death grip.
Yeah.
I couldn't recommend it to more people. I mean, everyone that I say, well,
if you're taking a kid, you need it.
Even for late muzzleloader for adults.
Use mine.
Oh, yeah.
With the smokeless?
That's what
Oh,
holds
my
my
gosh,
gun
yeah.
the whole time I'm sitting there.
Yep.
It's just-
I mean, it's a cheat code.
Yeah.
It is.
That doe was, I mean, I've shot multiple doe dang near at 400 yards, and it's not, I mean, I practice a lot, but, I mean, it's no big deal.
It is. Yeah, turrets.
Yeah, it's not because I'm a good shot. It's just easy.
Right. No, and it's efficiency. It's like, you hear it all the time. Like, the big thing now is, the cell cameras, everyone's getting soft. They're not good hunters anymore. It's like, I mean, the whole point is to be efficient.
It's evolution.
Yeah, it's all relative.
Yeah.
People that are, you're never going to make everybody happy. So there's somebody that they just want to find something to complain about.
Yep.
So
Yep, they're not happy with their current state. Yep.
I doubt they're using a willow to make a homemade bow to go out
Right,
and hunt traditionally, right? You're all using something.
with flaps on, like I used to run around.
So,
and
loincloth.
loincloths, yeah.
Yeah, they're just.
Well, I still do that.
You had a guy a couple years ago on camera doing
I
that.
did. Well, I had a guy with a black lab, a feather in his hand. I don't know if we can find that picture, but man, it was hilarious. Do you remember that? He had a black
No
lab,
shirt.
no shirt, and it was
I do remember.
October
Yes,
16th
I do
before
remember.
like a thunderstorm. I'm like, what is this guy doing? And he had a satchel and
Rain dance.
I've never. I
it
mean, you get
worked.
some weird stuff on. I remember I had a guy show up on my camera. This was during shed season, and of course, so I had alfalfa out the guy showed up on my camera in the middle of nowhere and lit his crack pipe. And then
Oh
lit,
my God.
lit
Dude,
my,
alfalfa?
Remember that?
I remember
Lit
that,
my entire
yeah.
pile of alfalfa on fire, and it was just like. If I didn't have pictures of it, nobody would believe it.
right.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
man.
one good reason to run cell cameras.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean there's places for them, and yeah, I filled a late season tag only because of cell cam. I was not.
Yep. And I killed him because of cell cams, and Morgan and I sat that night.
Yeah.
That was the first.
Was that even
that's-
cell?
Yeah, I had one cell up on
Okay.
that fence where.
Because
He
I
ran.
remember when you were hunting him, it was like a daily or every other day pulling all the cars off the muddy.
I was moving that one cell cam back and forth back then, but now at least they're cheaper and we can afford plans and that type of thing. But
Yeah.
how many you got out?
Got a lot out.
Over 40?
No, I mean I have a lot of I probably 50-50 cell and non-cell now. I mean but I have a lot of cameras.
You
out.
have the DS4Ks, right? You
I have a lot of DS4K cell cams out. I actually have some Deceptors that will be out here shortly that I'm going to put. I only want them for the real-time picture, so I'm going to put them on the blind, and that way if we're going out, you can show me what's in front
Yep,
of me.
on demand.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, I'm excited
That's
for
real
it.
nice.
But I still like the going and checking a card and like Christmas.
Yep.
I pulled one a week ago that it was a regular muddy. I had it sitting somewhere, and I pulled the card during shed season, and I saved a bunch of pictures, right? Well, it still had like 90% battery, so I put it in there, and I pulled it. And I didn't realize, I literally cleaned the card yesterday. I had like all these velvet bucks on it, and I'm like turkeys and like strutting all spring, and I'm like, well, this is
As
super
far as
cool.
battery life goes, those things
I was
last
like,
forever.
This is great.
Yeah,
And it's just
actually, the wild game cell cam's probably my best.
Oh, the Encounter
They're
2.0s?
hands down
Yep.
the best battery life
Yep.
camera I have.
I agree, 100%.
I'm a huge advocate of them. I think the pictures are fantastic.
Yeah.
They're not. There's definitely a couple stealths that are better, but
Yeah,
man,
I
I'll
think-
take that battery life over.
I think that to get that battery life too, it's you're putting, they transmit 4 or 5 times a day or 2 times a day.
Yep.
So you're not having that
I do mine on
hourly
instant.
or instant.
I do
Mine are
instant.
on twice a day. Most of my cell cams are on twice a day or once a day. Until if I'm going to go hunt a property, I'll change the cell cam to then become
Instant
hourly
group.
or instant, so then I can get real time data.
Yep.
But otherwise, they're all once a day. I have them spread out, so it's like little
and mine are on hourly, except the encounters like 5 times a day.
But
So
wild game, hands down.
Yep, I agree.
Cell, the battery life is phenomenal.
I agree. What about you? You got any cell cams out
I
on your
was
new
thinking
piece yet?
Tomorrow I'm going to put some out, actually. That was like the first thing that I'm going to do after I get done closing. I'm going to drive back and finally get to put the cameras out. I asked my realtor, can we ask them if I can just go put cameras out now? And she said no. We have to wait till we close. She wouldn't even ask.
What time are you closing?
11:15.
Nice. So you got afternoon to do it.
So I'm gonna
21.
go. Yep. I'm going to be back and putting cameras out.
You're going to be pretty much my neighbor now.
I think I'm behind the 8 ball, but I think my next step's white pine. I got to get the white pine put out.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut some trees down back behind Greg's house right after this.
We all got the handsaws. Well, like we had a podcast with Tim, and we've always put them out like before now.
I'm normally like second week of September.
And he was telling us, and
tractor,
Tim is the
just let
reason
me
we
know.
do it.
Yeah.
He was saying like the second week of October.
Yeah. Well, I put them out because I don't want to be out there digging holes in
Right.
October.
And that's what, and he said, you got to kind of pick your poison on when exactly you're going to do it. And I'll be out here. I'm out here at least
just
once a
hunt
week
during
doing
the
these
rut.
Dude, that's
podcasts.
sweet.
So I'm
Every
like,
day of the
okay.
week, I'm just going to sit in the
Because
blind.
like one of the farm, I've lost the farm since,
Yeah, you
but
put a big
there's
food
probably
plot there.
still spots out there on when I did white
acres at
pine
least. Acre
years
and a half.
ago. I had a PVC pipe,
Maybe an acre.
Oh, you just stick one
quickcrete
in
in
it?
the ground, and
That's
then I
sweet.
would
You could put a
stick
stand
the
back
white
in there.
pine in the PVC.
So it's kind of spin.
No, I would
Oh,
I
you-
would screw it in there because I like the branches on it.
Okay.
And then a lot of times if they would just pull it up out because they get aggressive, well, you can just unscrew it, take it out, put a new one in. So if you're going to have it in the same spot every year, it's worth that.
How big a PVC pipe? 1.5 inches?
Oh, no,
2 inch?
I had like 4 inch.
Oh, so you had a big one, and then you
Big
just
one. If I was using a
suck it.
smaller one, then you just and that was the only farm I did that. I'll probably do it at my farm since it's my
Yours?
farm, but it's easy. Then you
That's
post
actually a
hole dig
really,
every-
really good idea.
Yeah, because then they don't pull it up and out. They'll snap it off because they get aggressive. But,
Oh, man.
and it doesn't. I mean, you haven't had great luck with it, right?
Well, you have them all over. If you bring them to places that they don't have that smell and that texture, to
every
rub
single
on,
one of mine gets snapped
God.
off by the year end. Every one of them.
I've had like a deer hit one of them. That was at the in-laws in that little creek where I got stung by the bee.
Right. I
And
had
I
'em-
pulled the camera and then the deer hit it. It's like, oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
the camera thing.
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah.
I had that mini maybe buck was all over it on my old piece down at the bottom. I mean, there's no pines anywhere on that property, and I put one down there, and it was every single buck that walked by it. I mean, I don't know how many times I had it. I would have it on camera, like, oh, and they're like, where'd the tree go?
It's like
it's
crappie
like
structure.
laying over there.
It's like crappie structure. I mean, I've had them pull it out, and then I watched them scrape their antler on the ground, trying to still get the pine laying on the ground.
Okay, middle of the plot. What, or do you put it edge?
No, I want it like 30 yards away. My goal is to shoot a deer hitting it, so its focus is on the white pine and not a guy pulling a bow back on a tree
Right,
stand.
but so you have no problem putting it in the middle of the food plot?
No, not at all.
When I say middle,
No.
I mean like
Yeah.
out.
And a lot of times I'll have two in a food plot, so then, because a lot of times, I'm on my phone a lot. So I'll be on my phone, I look up, and there's a deer right there looking at you. Well, a lot of times now, I'll hear them hitting the pine post. So, and I know if they hit that one, they can't not hit the other one. Like, it's just,
Yeah. But are most of your food plots, say, secluded in like a...
no, I've
you
got
have
one
more
food
open
plot.
place, it's pretty secluded. Like
Oh,
down
my
the
farm.
bottom.
Yeah.
My
the
farm
other
is very
farms.
secluded.
I think that maybe has something to do with them hitting it, maybe. I guess...
But I've got another farm that is nothing but a CRP. There's no trees. There's like 12 trees on the 100-acre farm that's nothing but CRP. And I got permission to put a food plot in the middle of the CRP. Morgan's helped me a lot on that farm.
Okay, yeah. I remember you saying.
Yeah, great bird hunt
talking
farm,
about it.
but middle. I happened to find a 96-inch shed on that farm, so I was like,
Oh,
I
really?
need food on
Yeah,
this
yeah,
farm. And I think he's still alive, actually.
Good.
But I had, so I'll put him as something just to bring him in.
Right.
And I put pine in 2 spots, and I had to replace it like 4 times last year because they would snap them off or rip them. And it was like, no matter where they were in the CRP, they had to touch that white pine in those food plots.
And I
it was
mean,
in the middle
I've
of
noticed
nothing.
a lot of that, like with trapping, animals are very object oriented. So like if you have a 100-acre CRP field and you had an oak tree in the middle of it, every deer, every coyote, every animal is going to
Well, it's
that
because
tree.
they look up.
Yep, and they see it.
They
It's
can
a
see
landmark.
it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a landmark.
100%
So
landmark.
if you have an open field and it's all CRP and you drop, a food plot and then you put a post in the middle of it, they're going to go there.
Yeah.
So why not have it
100%.
So-
18 yards away from your stand?
Yeah, and then they take their aggression out. One, that's how they're snapping it. They're rubbing. They're getting ready for the rut. We just one
And
of the
scent glands. I mean,
yeah
they're
Duncan's deer last night. Their aggression as far as they're starting to rub on trees. That's why you said you're gonna get them out. His big 200-inch mule deer decoy got smacked. And
Yeah.
it was taken out.
He sent me that.
You
I
see
saw
that?
Yeah.
And that got me thinking. Last year, Brad, that big 10-pointer, he was back here, and I had a white pine. That's probably the only time I've ever had pictures of deer hitting it. He hit that, and then he came and smacked my decoy 3 or 4 nights in a row. It was just laying in pieces. So I brought it in because he was beating it up. But as far as my food plots and having them out there, I haven't had as much luck as you or Tim, but maybe I'll do something different this year and maybe try a different spot. But as far as DBH, how big is the tree that you're using? Is it smaller or is it?
No, most of them are.
Are they bigger than baseball bats?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
About, is
But
that
they're
the minimum?
they're green, right?
They're once if you cut one down and it's not super sappy,
Don't use
I
it.
don't even use it. They're green. Normally they're
Maybe
3 to
4
4
inch
inch
diameter.
diameter.
And then just get them started. Because one time I went to town on one
No,
and
just
it
put
dried
'em in.
out.
No, I don't even.
Just put
I
'em in.
used to because I thought it was.
It looks cool.
It look cool.
Yeah, it's just
Let them.
And a lot of times I'll try and use the branch ends. So a lot of people they'll cut and have a flat top and then they'll attach limbs on top of it so you have the scrape.
Yep.
I'll just use the branch end so the whole top droops over and they'll
For a scrape.
destroy it and scrape
That's
right
what
there.
Tim was saying too. Yeah.
And it works phenomenal. And I did the PVC at the Winterset or Patterson farm that I had. I don't have that anymore. But then every year I would just take the lag bolt out or bolt out and stick it in there, and you don't have to post hole every time. And
That's what I'll do.
That
at my
sounds
new
like
place.
a great idea.
It works
You
great.
quick read it
I
in the
quick
ground.
read it in PVC pipe because I knew, and I got permission from the farmer first to do it, and he didn't care. And then that way, every year when it's time to be done or you want to put a new one in, you just
And they never
can't pull it out because
they never broke the PVC off chip.
they didn't break the PVC, but they snapped the branch.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
Okay.
like that hog dog or whatever it is.
Hodag, yeah.
Yeah. Then that,
They also sell hump rope.
yeah, that's everywhere now. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that,
And there's a market and they're capitalizing.
They're
It is
right,
what it is.
right.
but it's like, I've been doing this for 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were the one that first started the hemp rope craze.
Well, and I learned it from somebody. I didn't
Right.
invent the process.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been, I bet you it's been 15 years I've been using it. And it works great. And same thing as vines or whatever. But
Yep.
And I got one spot that I was randomly walking through somewhere and I found a vine. It was at my uncle's. I was hanging a stand for him. And I'm had a vine that was this big around. I'm going to rip this thing down. You know what? I'll zip tie it somewhere and try it. And we'll see.
it
Yeah.
works. Vine works great.
I bet it'll work.
I think
I'm sure
Bill,
it will.
so
Just don't put it in front of a camera so it does this.
A friend of mine years and years and years ago used old gym rope from his school that closed, and it was in the middle. I mean, and I saw beautiful pictures of it, and I was like, well, you don't have to replace it every year. They just chew it up, and I mean,
Yep.
love it. Works great.
Yep. And I mean, I've used it as thin as a finger, and that big one that I had for my kids' climbing rope, I mean, it was this big around.
Yeah.
And they hit it.
I'd say 1 inch is probably my average
Yeah.
what I use.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully, there is false triggers when it comes to those kind of ropes. I got one that's way too long, but hopefully AI can eventually the next 5 or 6 years, or 10 years, they can say, okay, that's it's not an animal. I'm not going to take a false trigger type of thing.
Hopefully.
Or not send it. It may save it to the
Save
card
it,
or
but not
something,
send it.
But not
So I
send
got a rope that I zip tied to the end, and then it's where TW's at, and it's almost touching the ground. I got raccoons every night coming to play with it,
Pulling it?
pulling it, and one last night was falling on the ground. The deer don't hit
I
us.
get pictures of them, but I try not to have it below 4.5 feet probably. I mean, they'll get up and get it.
I try to make it so the top of the frame is just about where the rope is.
Yep.
So
I
I'm
mean,
not getting false triggers.
It's almost like the picture. I frame all my stuff up to get the picture.
absolutely.
You take the time. You're like, okay, here it is. Get it back just far. Wait for the nope, bend it a little bit farther forward, and nope, it needs to be 3 feet farther back.
And even if it didn't work that great, like you haven't had great luck with food plots and stuff, I can't fathom deer hunting not being a year-round process for me because I enjoy the process.
Always do something.
So if a deer doesn't eat one of my brassicas or hit, I enjoyed the process in April, May, June, July, all those months that I can't fathom not doing it. That by the time, dumb deer, they should like it. I put a lot of effort into it. But if they don't, I enjoy the year-round process.
It's fun. And I'm like you when it comes to sheds. Man, I would rather find this than shoot the deer.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you one thing. I have way bigger sheds than I do deer on the wall. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you as far as, like, doing the stuff. It's fun. Like, I hardly hunt. How many times do I hunt my in-laws? But I get it ready for my father-in-law. He shot 2 deer with Jace last year. Right. I just enjoy doing all the food plot stuff, doing the work, and it's fun. And
the really fun part is when you, I try to keep everything family friendly on Snapchat because I know there's a lot of kids that follow it. But when I get a snap that says, hey, my son shot his first deer and the deer was hitting a white pine post that we put out because we watched
your snap.
Do it. I guarantee you I've done stuff where people do it and they're like, what a dummy, that doesn't work. But it's the people, it's fun.
Yep. And I mean, we've talked about it in the past. Like someone will like message you on Instagram, like, "Hey, I saw that you posted a picture of a deer on a scrape. What do you put on your hemp rope?" There's probably 30 different things that work. Yeah. This is what happened. This is what I happen to use, and then you get that that message. Man, look at this deer that just showed up hitting this. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. But guess what? It gave you them the confidence to do it.
Yep. 100%.
It's something to do, and it's cheap to do, and it's fun to do because you're out there actively doing something.
And it doesn't hurt anything.
Right.
Yeah, I've got all kinds of messages where somebody will just all of a sudden like, all right, I bought a bag of food plot seed. Now what do I do? And it's like, oh my God, all right.
Get on YouTube.
I send a lot of people to you. There's some great channels out there.
Yes, there is.
I try to walk through. I have way too many long conversations with people, but I'm invested in it. I enjoy people's success, so I guarantee you I help the sales of Little Debbie because so many people know.
That's great.
My wife and I are always like joking about like, she goes and hangs out with her friends and eats dinner and drinks wine. I wake up at 4 a.m. so we can beat the heat in the summer to go do food plot stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, Morgan's been a massive amount of help on all that stuff.
But it's like, that's my passion.
It's
like
fun.
I love it. I want to do anything to make me close to that thing that I love.
And it's fun helping out friends, right? Yeah. It's fun doing something like, hey, we're going to go shoot doves and then go do this today, or we're going to go, it's fun having, I'm very I secluded myself because I want to hunt one deer and I'm trying to do my own thing, but it's nice now Jace is old enough, or I can go, hey, come take Sophie and come hunt with me, or, it's fun having that camaraderie now. And I think that's 100%. One thing I've missed the last few years. And it's nice getting back to that point. So
yeah, there's so many, you go through progression in your hunting life where you're, you have to kill something. Then you have to.
Now people expect you to kill a big one.
Now you got to do this and you got to do that. And
I will say I have lots of friends that are very stressed and they lose sleep at night thinking that people expect them to kill something. And it ends up being that they expect people to expect them to kill something.
Right.
Because the year they don't kill anything.
What happened?
The sun came up the next day. It was okay. People really.
And nobody really cared.
No.
It was all in your head.
It was, So people have expectations that other people have expectations. And really, it's just people like seeing you share stuff. And if you share stuff and you didn't tag out, people aren't like, oh, hey, look, you didn't tag out. We had to still.
Yeah, but there is people out there like, well, he hasn't shared anything big on his Instagram. It's like, well, I'm not going to share everything.
Yeah,
like I don't care what you think or what you're watching me. Obviously, you have something to say about it, but just I'm going to hunt. I'm going to shoot the biggest deer I can. I'm going to have fun.
Yeah, and I used to adjust how I do things based on responses, and now it's pretty easy. It's like, hey, you followed us.
Yeah, If you don't like what I'm doing, then see you later.
Yeah, it's okay.
And there are a lot of haters, especially like as far as like the PETA people go, which we don't even have to get down that road. But
the hunting industry is toxic.
It is.
It's
so
but
there's so many people that are in it for the right reasons, and that are taking youth out or that.
Yeah, we get a lot of TBI gets a lot of messages, anti-youth, where there's still a lot of adults out there that are like, those kids haven't earned it yet and all that. And
Man.
I'm quick to say, hey,
That's none of your
TBI is
business.
not for you. Please unfollow the social media company.
And it's weird. Like, I will remember, I'm like, even 10 years ago, like, you see a kid behind like a 190, you're like, trigger man.
Yeah.
Your parents did all the work and all that stuff, and it may be true. Who knows? But guess what? That's not my deer. That's not.
Yeah, but I also know one of those kids that did that, and now he's an avid hunter. He's probably watches more hunting.
Life.
He is.
You know,
my daughter's going to be set up for success the first time she goes hunting, and I promise you, she's going to.
Wasn't that the whole point of you doing all this?
Exactly.
Yep.
And if you don't like it,
sorry.
I mean,
see ya.
But those are the people too that aren't diehards like we are.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's our passion.
It is.
I mean, it's
yep.
Yeah, and whatever you are happy doing, that's what you should do.
Yep. Yep. Whatever level you're on, if you're happy doing it, then don't hate on other people.
If you're not happy, then that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Right. Go work on yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm all for. I get questions. Like I said, I get questions all the time. I'll gladly answer anything I possibly can. Like, I want to. I'm with you. Like, I want everybody to succeed. I hope everybody that ever hears or sees any of my stuff kills the biggest deer they have every single year. I'm not out there rooting against a single person. And I think people need more of that attitude of there's room for everybody to succeed.
Yep.
I don't think somebody else succeeding does anything to me.
No. Unless you
maybe it's my neighbor.
Unless he shoots the deer that you're at, then it kind of sucks. But,
man, that stinks. But oh well.
Yeah, neighbors don't do it. But
I mean,
everybody else.
We have all had it happen. We have all had a deer that we've tried to kill, and somebody else kills it, and it burns you a little bit. Like it.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Yeah,
but that's what makes it special
again,
when you're the
I
guy
don't care.
that kills it.
There's another one.
And there's you get the sarcastic comments like, oh, he's only 8. I'm not going to shoot him until he's 9. And those people are just, they don't have, and it's okay if you want to shoot a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old every year. You bought your tag.
Shoot what makes you happy.
Send it.
That's the biggest thing that if anybody.
But I will bet on the deer every time, fully understanding that there's a probability that's higher than 50% that I'm not going to get a chance at him the next year. But I promise you, if I kill him, I won't get a chance at him next year. And I'm at a point where my freezer's full. I eat a lot of deer.
We have to.
Yeah. I don't eat beef. So but yeah, there's people that just can't comprehend that.
Yep. Shoot what makes you happy, and that's the one thing that I guess if you guys are watching this, it doesn't matter to me what you shoot, but shoot what makes you happy, right? Like,
yes, absolutely.
If you're a youth hunter and you shoot a 2-year-old that's going to be 190 in 5 years, I don't care. If it makes you happy, you're a youth hunter or you're an adult, wherever you're at and whatever you want to do. It's your tag. If it's legal, 100% legal, ethical, shoot what makes you happy.
I've said it. I've shot a deer and I was like, well, it's not the biggest out there, and I wanted to shoot it, except for the oops buck. That deer. That's a me thing.
Accidents
right?
happen. Yeah.
If somebody else, and Morgan's been with me, I advocate my farms. I want them to get old. And that's
right.
I'm okay if every deer I pass gets old and somebody else kills it. That's part of it.
Yep.
And it might be you hunting with me that gets it, or my dad or another buddy. It's okay. I just want to see what he could get to.
Yep.
That's just
now I'm on a little bit different because I own a farm. It's like, hey, Aaron, you want to come hunt with me? Hey, Terry, come hunt. Let's shoot some deer. I don't care. I got a small piece. I can't really manage it that well, but let's shoot some deer. Let's have fun. Let's hunt together. Like if you want to come hunt, like it's it is what it is. Like we're gonna have a house there someday, so it's not a big deal. It's not necessarily a hunting farm, but if the deer get 4 and there's a 150 and they want to shoot it, then great.
Yeah, the camaraderie is way more fun.
Yep.
I'm not a solo. I'll never go on a Western hunt by myself. That's for sure.
I'm not sure I'll go on a Western hunt, but
you need to.
I'm gonna let you
maybe
set
antelope
up and I'll go with me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a guide, but I'll help you.
That's all I need.
Let's do it.
Need a little bit of guidance and.
Aside from dropping GPS coordinates for people, I can't tell you how many people I walked through buying points and how this, because I was lazy. The idea of buying points out west was like, I don't want to figure that out. It seems excessive.
Right.
And then you do it and you're like, oh,
wasn't so
That
hard.
was really easy.
It was
Right,
just
and I-
like buying anything else.
Yes.
Yep.
Buy
had a
some on
bu-
Amazon.
Right.
Pretty much.
Basically.
Prime, 2 days.
Basically.
Really?
Yeah, it's not hard.
2 days tax free.
Put in your credit card.
No
Done.
shipping. The I had a buddy send me a picture of an elk he killed out west, and I'm like, man, that's awesome. Like I'm like,
And I was
and,
fortunate.
and I'm like super happy for him. I'm like, God, why am I not?
Yeah,
like
you're missing out,
why
man.
am I
You're
not
missing
trying
out.
to do this? Like I'm 38. Like I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I should be doing this. Why am I not doing it?
I got introduced by somebody else that knew the ropes already, and I was fortunate that he brought me along. Whole other story. Could do a whole podcast on those first two trips out west. That is an absolute show. But
British guy.
unless you get introduced, it's daunting to take on. But
It's almost
intimidating.
it's scary.
It's
yeah,
intimidating.
it
yeah,
is.
that's what I'm saying. But it really isn't. And it's one of those things where you have to be okay going out there and not filling a tag and learning. And you're going to be like, okay, I now know more. I understand how the Western works. I know what not to do, what to do to get better. You'll be fine.
Just
like,
if
you got to
you-
go do it.
Just
go
don't watch 411 Missing. Don't ever watch that. Don't ever do it if you want to go out hunting out west.
Yep.
It'll scar you for life.
Yeah, don't not do it. I mean, you need to.
Yeah, I need to. Next year I'll go.
Let's go antelope hunting
I
next
think
year.
I'm
Let's
gonna
find
go antelope. I think I'm gonna go antelope
a
Buy
place.
next year.
Buy a point right now because you'll need a point. You can't
where
get over the
where should we go?
I need to see what state.
State of Wyoming.
Wyoming.
Yep.
There's so many there.
I'm gonna text my buddy and be like, hey, where's this at? And that was when we even had this conversation this spring. He was asking me about cell cameras and whatnot, and I'm like, yeah. And he's like, dude, you should come out here and hunt. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I haven't talked to him since high school. And he was like, yeah, man, we got like a 3,000 acre ranch up north of
There you go.
of Wall. You know?
Oh yeah, Wall
South
with the
Dakota.
big pharmacy.
Yeah, he's like, we're northwest of Wall, like 2 hours. Like, you get up over here, and we got this big ranch, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can probably do this. So it's
I get why people. I mean, I'm as unsecretive as it gets. I'm very transparent. I probably share too much stuff on social media when it comes to my hunting, but I enjoy the camaraderie of it. But I get why people are secretive when it comes to out west, because for you to take a week off work just to go out and learn something, it's expensive, it's a commitment, and for somebody to like figure it out, it's a big deal. And if everybody understands it, then it's no longer a good
Right.
spot to go. So I get it, but everybody needs to go experience it. You need to go.
So can we take a smokeless out there? Is that legal?
Some states you can, some states you can't.
I think you could take it out there and use it like a rifle, like during
Yeah,
rifle
during rifle
season.
Oh.
I think you
Yeah.
could
Okay.
use it.
well, because like there's some states you can't even use scopes for like
Yeah.
muzzleloader
Colorado,
season.
Yeah.
Colorado, it's iron sights.
Like Wyoming, like I shot my bull elk with a 7 mil. That's the exact same 7 mil. I think it's a little excessive for antelope because antelope's like between a
They're
lab
little.
and a dog,
Yeah, they're little.
or a lab and a doe. But I think my 7 mil is probably close to 10 antelope at this point. It's been used
Wow.
with buddies or whatnot, but it's not hard.
No, the last time
You
I
commit to
went,
buying points, you'll have an antelope within 3 years. I promise.
the last year that I went antelope hunting, season started. So just like here, like at daylight or 30
Yep.
minutes before daylight or whatever, and 30 minutes later I was tagged out.
Oh,
And like
Now
before
it almost sucked
light,
too.
oh,
Like, you
we're
hype
here.
yourself up- You hype yourself up, and you're
we're
like,
here now. We're
oh.
done.
but then I
Yeah.
duck hunted the rest of the time because in
That sounds
Wyoming
great.
nobody
Yeah.
else does. So I
Oh,
just
okay.
duck hunted the rest of the time. It was awesome actually.
Let's go.
You just,
And
you just
out
took
there,
I
decoys.
wanna
get-
go to
get
your
archery
place.
and gun. So your archer tag becomes a rifle tag.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's
that's
really
like a whole nother podcast. Like I did one with a different guy last night, and we were talking about different states being $1, $2. Like, I'm not opposed to Iowa being a $1 state if it transferred. Like if you had a deer tag and
yeah.
it went in through the
Retire
seasons.
every
Yep,
season.
you can shoot it with a bow, and then it hits late
mean,
season. You can use a muzzleloader
I'll
and
have 3 buck tags every year. I rarely am ever going to fill all 3 of those.
with a buck.
But can you
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine though if they did that for Iowa? Like
Oh, yeah. We're on
It
a
would be
slippery slope
scary.
right now with the state of Iowa and
Landowners, the out-of-state landowners.
Yeah.
That was a big topic yesterday when I
Yep.
was talking to the guy.
that's the scary thing is legislation could ruin just one bill is passed and allows more people or landowners or easier access or
Yep, 100%.
Hopefully, we don't have to deal with that in our lifetime
At least
or
we
anybody's.
Don't have to deal with it this year, at least.
Yeah, I mean it'll be a while, but it's going down that path. And
Buy your
it is
land
what
now.
it is. You'll adapt.
Buy
You'll
your
adapt.
land as
And
soon as you
it will-
can.
Land will double in price overnight.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
100%.
sure.
Like if you want to make $1 million, buy a $500,000 farm and wait.
But I mean,
you'll just be able to
there's
sell
voices
it.
being expressed. There's new areas that are coming up to advocate for that with the politics. So I mean, there's at least for the first time I'm seeing voices. I mean, Skip's
Yeah.
doing a lot.
Yep.
In
Yeah, he's getting
advocating.
big in
Skip's
it
like,
right
yeah,
now.
Thank God for him.
yeah, and I think there'll be more details coming out, but I think Friday night of the Deer Classic will be a big event that is going to happen. That's going to be kind of like a Whitetail Limited banquet, but it's going to be a Iowa chapter, and 95% of that funds is going to stay in Iowa and go towards advocating
Good.
for that.
Yeah,
with
we
some
need
big
it. Yeah,
name
big
people.
name.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've known Skip for 15 years. He is like, is he ungodly smart and knows how to deer hunt, but he legit cares.
oh yeah, yeah.
He legit
Deeply.
cares and is
He's
willing.
only going to get involved in politics because he cares about deer that much.
Yep. Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
Well, hour 30 minutes. It's probably our longest
that long?
podcast yet.
This is gonna suck.
You guys
man.
win.
It's so
I mean,
bad.
I'm pretty long-winded, so it's easy to get that fun.
Yeah, that's what Morgan said. Morgan's like, I don't talk a lot, but Brandon's good at it.
Yeah, I was just
I knew
counting on him
when
to
he
talk.
asked, I was like, of course I'm going to say yes. Morgan asked. if I
Heck
could.
yes. That's why I had to ask both at the same time. Like, I want them to both come.
This is gonna be a 4-hour edit for me.
Well, you're good at it, right?
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And we're gonna try to get on Spotify now. We're on Outdoor Dan
Yeah, it's outdoor
radio,
call app.
radio on Thursdays at 7.
I think so.
So it's live, so you can't go back and watch that. But on YouTube, you can.
Yep. Do the video stuff on the YouTube.
That's what takes you the longest. If it was just for a Spotify, you could just pull the card out, slap it in, and
Yep.
I'm bad at. I need to get more into podcasts. I listen to sports radio most of the time, so I know how.
I'm
Speaking
just
of
like
that,
you.
Oh, my team's such a dumpster fire. I don't
Oh
want
man, I've been wanting to talk to you
fantasy
about that.
football. That would be a
I've been
good
wanting to talk to you about
podcast.
that.
Bears.
bear down.
Oh my!
Man.
You know what? I've
Have
been.
you liquidated the cards yet?
No, not at all.
You better just get rid of him because he's
Yo,
done.
you holding a bunch of Justin Fields rookie cards or something?
He is.
I've
He
got.
Are
some
you
pretty-
really?
I've got some pretty high end ones.
Oh, that
Oh,
sucks.
you better get rid of those immediately.
He'll end up going somewhere and being like this Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, I think. I'm a Bears fan through and through, but
I'm a Vikings fan. I feel you. At least you
our
have Super Bowls.
organization, I'm confident that if we would have drafted Patrick Mahomes, which they were close to, we would have ruined him. I mean, it's an organization problem. There's an easy team that Fields could have been drafted to where he is like the next Patrick Mahomes.
He's
It's not the Bears.
he's an RG3.
Mitchell
He's
Trubisky was talented. Jake Cutler was
Right.
talented. We ruin, and it's an owner problem. It
Yeah.
starts at.
It
so,
is an
You need
owner
to start
Yeah.
from the ground up and
I'm not changing teams, so it is what it is. I
Right.
accepted it.
need Deion Sanders in there.
Yeah, I really would like Lincoln. I'd like Lincoln Riley. I want an offensive minded guy.
And I mean, a lot of it, like I'm a Vikings fan, so I deal with the same thing. And we like show that we can do good, and then just shit the bed when we can't
Yeah.
and don't need to.
I
And
heard
it's
right
like
before I pulled in the driveway that there was talks heating up with the Jets and Vikings for Cousins.
for Cousins. I mean, they got the defense. When we have the defense, it's good.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know. If it wasn't for the turnovers and all that fun jazz, it'd be sitting a little bit different. But that's why it's football. It's
And who plays tonight?
49ers and
49ers.
Giants.
Okay.
Yeah. I need to
get on my-
the Giants in loser pool.
I need to get on my app real fast, so we should probably wrap this up before the
You
game
got
starts. So I
like
can lay some
16
bets
minutes.
down.
It's 7 o'clock. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
Hey.
Yep, no problem.